My name is Peter Bamah from Obobi Quarters, Idumuje, and I'm the chairman of the Vigilantes. I hate to remember the events of 24th May 2017 in my life. It was a red letter day. It was a day I will always live to remember. And that's because on that fateful day, I had retired to bed, was fast asleep, when all of a sudden at about 1:30 a.m., I had a bang on my door, on the door of my apartment. So I jumped from my sleep, wondering what kind of noise it was, but only to jump into the hands of Raymond Omosiete and the over 30 boys with him who had broken into the house. They had taken over the apartment. The first thing they did as they entered was to break up all the bulbs in the house, all the electric bulbs, and put the house in darkness. So in that darkness, before I could make any move, Raymond Omosiete grabbed me by the small pant which I was wearing as I was going to bed. He held me, started to ask me a lot of questions. He said that Nonsonwoko had sent them to retrieve all the working tools of the vigilantes in my possession. But before I could answer any of his numerous questions, his boys started to beat me. They started to hit me with every weapon in their hand. The rest were outside. They had surrounded the house. The rest of over 200 or thereabout, they were outside, guns blazing, as if they had come to arrest Osama bin Laden. Guns blazing everywhere. So Ikomo said Nonso sent them to my place to collect these tools. After they had collected what they could get in my house, as they were collecting them, in the process, they removed 4 motorcycles, including my own personal motorcycle, and 4 double barrel guns belonging to the vigilantes. They moved all that from my place. And when they asked for the rest working materials, I told them that I was not keeping all of them in one place, that some were with the rest members of the vigilantes. And that was when Ikomo said that I should lead them to the houses of all those vigilantes to collect those tools. So they dragged me outside with that small pant. In fact, they picked me from my bed and they dragged me onto the street. As we were going, they were beating me. They were asking me if I didn't know that there was an OB in the town, that we were following Ned all about. So after we had gone round, in fact, it was a crisscross from one end of the community to the other. When they had finished with all that, Ikomo said that they should take me back to my house the second time to collect the documents covering those guns and motorcycles which they had taken. So they took me to the house for the second time. When we got to my place, the whole place was dark. So with their torchlights, I searched my shelf and brought out the file containing all those documents and handed it over to Ikomo. And they dragged me out again, this time to the palace. As we were moving to the palace, one Adim Abuzo said that since none of their weapons could penetrate me, that they should set me on fire. Only God knows why they didn't do that to me that day. So they took me to the palace ground. And right there, in the presence of Nonsonwoko, Wadegwu'S, Chuks, Onwoche, Light Onwoche, Ofunne Aligbe, and in fact, a whole lot of them. It was a large crowd. So they laid me flat. They laid me flat on the floor and started to do whatever they wished to me. Started to beat me. In fact, they beat me to coma. Now, after they had done all that, the youth leader, Raymond Omosiete, had to address me before they left me off the hook. And that was about 4 a.m. I had spent about 3 hours or thereabout in their hands, under torture and humiliation. So the youth leader said to me, and I have to say what he said to me in quote. He said, "Look, Rastaman, you know I always respect you, but this time, don't give us cause to come back to your house the second time. Because if you do, if you give us any cause to come back to your house the second time, tell all your men to bring whatever is in their possession. Because if we go back to your house, this is just the genesis of something we don't know how the revelation will look like." In quote. So they left me. The following morning, which was the 25th of May, I was lying helpless, unconscious in the house when a brother came. After seeing me, he decided to take me to the hospital. So he took me to the police station, first of all, where we made a report. And from then, the police took me to the general hospital in Ifejiokwu'S. So while I was at the hospital in the afternoon, that brother called me and said that a full-scale war had erupted in the community and that somebody had been shot dead. And that was Cyprian Kamoru. Well, there was nothing I could do. Myself, I was still recuperating on the hospital bed. So later that same day of 25th May, in the night, that same brother called me again to tell me that these people had, in fact, that they had gone into something else, that they were going around beating people the way they wanted, burning houses, burning properties. There was nothing I could do myself. So that's what happened in my presence, because from that 25th day of May, when I was taken to the hospital, I didn't return to the village for 2 weeks, because after I was discharged from the hospital, I was taken to a traditional surgeon who had to treat my fractured bones. So that's exactly what they did to me. If Ikomo is listening, or if he's here with me now, he should know that I have not told any lie about him. This is exactly what they did to me. And that's all I can remember. That's all that happened in my presence. So I didn't return home again until after 2 weeks. All the things they did when I was in the hospital, I cannot give account of that because I was not there. That is it.